What's up, team? Donovan here from Martial Arts Business Made Easy, and today I'm excited to share with you 10 lessons I've learned from running a multi-million-dollar martial arts program. So number one, we need to be focused on what matters. All right. Oftentimes we're focused on the next shiny object. Do we need to add a jiu-jitsu program? Do we need a weapons program, after school program, summer camps? There's so many different ways that people in our industry are winning, and we see that, and then oftentimes we aren't sure really what we should be doing. So I would recommend that we just focus on what matters most. Focus on what's already working in your facility. The most common question I get is, how do I get more students in my programs? And while that's a fair question, the next question I would ask you is, how have you gotten your current members? Right? In the last 3 months or 6 months, how have you gotten new people in your door? And we need to do more of that. All right. Focus and double down on that. We don't need all these different avenues. We maybe just need to do more of what has already been successful for us. And if you think about today, what's one or two things that you can do today to get new members in your facility, right? Or what's one or two things that you can do to keep members in your business longer? Right? The way you grow your program is getting more people in the door and then getting current members to stay longer in your program. But focus on what is successful already. Number two, 10% of a watermelon is better than 100% of a grape. Sometimes scale does matter. If you think about Jeff Bezos, he only owns 10% of Amazon. Elon Musk only owns 20% of Tesla. And these are the two richest people in the world. They understand that they need to share the wealth with investors and with their partners so that they can ultimately grow to be who they want to be. As business owners, we feel like we need to own 100% of our business, when I don't think that's necessarily the case. One, I think you need to have a built-in buyer for your business who's gonna buy it next and take over that program once you're not there anymore. And the way we do that is we tie our leadership to the growth of our business. My full-time staff know that as the business grows, they are going to get pay increases. They're going to get more bang for their buck. And we've always heard the saying, when you want to get something you want, you have to help enough people get what they want. And I think it's the same thing for wealth. The more people you make wealthy, the more wealthy you will become in your lifetime. And I think that we need a lot of people rooting for us and helping us achieve our goals. All right. We need to build the team and then share the wealth with everyone, so we're in the same boat, rowing in the same direction. And a little tip here, if you're not ready to give up actual ownership of your business, another way to get people to buy into your business with their energy and their effort, but not actually owning part of it, is through phantom equity. So take a look at that. Phantom equity, great way to retain ownership, but pay your staff like they are owners. Number three, great things take time. We have to understand this. You can have the perfect business model, but sometimes it just takes time to grow. And I'll give you an example here. Say you have your grandmother's famous cake recipe. It's awesome. It's your favorite cake on the planet. And she decides to finally give you the recipe. And the recipe says that once everything's mixed, we have to bake it at 400 degrees at 40 minutes. All right, it'd be unreasonable to think we're going to get the same result if we baked it at 800 degrees for 20 minutes, because it does take time, right? We can't mess with perfection. And I'll give you a real world example for our numbers. We were open 7 years before we did $1 million in 1 year in revenue. But only 2 years after hitting that million, we got to 3 million. And then this year we're at 4 million. We were able to grow exponentially because we figured out what we should be doing, what we should be focusing our efforts on, right? Great things do take time to build. We need to stay focused on the basics of our business and then just double down on that. Being a successful business owner oftentimes is saying no more than saying yes, right? Know what you do really well and just focus on that. And I would challenge you, a lot of times we set monthly goals and quarterly goals, but what is your business, what do you want it to look like in 5 years or 10 years? And what decisions do we need to make today that are going to move us in the right direction in that path of being where we want to be in 5 years? Think long term, right? And ultimately, the term is aggressive patience. We need to be patient that it takes time, but we need to spend our aggressive energy every single day to get towards our results that we're looking for. Number four, your brand reputation matters. And your brand is what people say about your business when you're not in the room. Right? You ever think about why do some businesses grow faster than others? They have an invisible push behind their marketing that helps them grow. Right? When the brand is built already, you can grow much faster because you have that push, right? That situational and community awareness. If you have a brand new business, it's going to be hard to market because no one really knows who you are. Okay. And again, just like the last slide, brand recognition takes time to build. Reputations take time. And it's hard at first to build momentum, but we have to do the work. So eventually it does become easier and easier. All right, if you think about running ads, whether they be Facebook, Instagram, Google, YouTube, it's much easier to sign someone up on a Facebook ad once they've already heard of your business. So again, reputation does matter. And we need to understand that negative word of mouth works faster, I think, against us than positive word of mouth. All right, every interaction. So for every review we have that goes up, that's 5 stars. If there's a bad review, we need to try to fix that and make sure that every interaction we're having with our members is a positive one. Because, if you think about when you go into a restaurant, it could be the most normal restaurant ever. You're probably not going to leave it a review. If it's a great restaurant, maybe you take the time to look them up on Google and leave a review. Maybe. But if it's a bad experience, man, I can't wait to get on my phone and write and tell people about my experience, right? That's like most people. So we don't want negative reviews. We don't want negative word of mouth. We want to make sure that our interactions with clients, with students, and potential students is a positive one. And to give you another example here, if you think about gas station coffee versus Starbucks coffee, for me personally, I prefer the gas station coffee over Starbucks. I'm not a fan of Starbucks. I just don't think their coffee tastes that great, right? But their coffee's $5 a cup, whereas a gas station's $1 a cup. The only difference is the brand, right? You can charge more when you have a perceived higher brand. All right, number 5, keep it simple. Simple scales and fancy fails. All right, the lead magnet needs to be simple. What's the trial offer? Is it 2 weeks paid? Is it 2 weeks free? A month free? Whatever your option is, all the trials work in my opinion, but it does need to be simple to understand and to iterate to the trial student. The customer path needs to be simple. So once they do that trial, how do they become a student? How often are they attending classes? What does it include? And then the ease of experience needs to be simple as well. So flexibility. What is the journey going to look like on their way to black belt? How often can they come to class? Again, what does the membership include? It needs to be very simple. Not only is it simple for the potential student to understand, it becomes simple for your staff to explain, right? Simple scales and fancy fails. And after now we own 7 locations and we've opened 2 other locations that we have sold. So we've opened 9 in the first 10 years of being open. I can tell you firsthand that things get complicated on their own, right? As your business grows, focus on keeping it simple, and I think it will scale faster because it does get complicated. Don't let it get overcomplicated. Keep it simple. And to give you, again, another example, McDonald's is a multi-billion-dollar company, largest fast food chain in the world, and they're typically ran by high school students. Right? It needs to be simple. Number 6, don't get emotional. All right. Nothing is typically as good or as bad as we think it's going to be. We spend time stressing about situations or talks with parents. We just need to have the conversations and do the work. All right. Never get too high or too low. Stay in the flow state. So what I mean by that is on the great days, take it and experience it, and then move on and get back in the flow state, get back to work. Same thing with the low days. There's days that are just not fun in the business, but we need to get ourselves back on track and stay in that flow state where we're making really good decisions. Most threats aren't as bad as we think they are. We've all probably had some situation in your business where you think this might be it. This might be the thing that puts me out of business. It probably isn't that bad, right? One thing that we do when making projections in the future for our business, we plan for the best case scenario, the worst case scenario, and then the most likely scenario that's probably going to be right down the middle. In our experience, typically the most likely scenario is the one that happens. All right. We also don't want to make long-term decisions on a short-term emotion. Okay. So what I mean by that is, say you have a staff member that's just not doing a good job and you're just frustrated because today's been a challenging day. Maybe you had some students drop off and this person made a bonehead decision and then we fire them, right? Don't make long-term decisions based on short-term emotions. We need to stay in that flow state so we're making a really good financial and leadership decision. And as the leader of our team, we need to be calm and collected during challenging situations because this is going to show our team how to handle adversity when we're not there and we're not present. Right. So again, for example, if you have a student that wants to quit, if you're nice to their face, but then as soon as they leave, we're trash talking this member to our staff, that now sets the precedent that that's okay. We want all interactions with our students and with our staff to be positive. So we have to be positive as the leader and set that example. And again, when it comes to your business, you're not always going to have all the information. Make decisions quickly with the best information that you have, and then we can always adjust down the road. All right, number 7, level 10 talent is attracted to level 10 opportunities. We know that we're going to need great people to build something great. And our vision needs to be big enough that other people's dreams can fit inside of our own vision and our own business. As you grow your business and your profit, then you're able to attract better talent that will then push your business further. Oftentimes I see school owners that will ask, how do I get this person? How do I get a director of operations? How do I build a head instructor that can cover down for me? Well, you have to be able to present them with an attractive opportunity that they want to be a part of, right? If they're going to barely scrape by, or they're making 30 grand or 50 grand a year, and that's it, that's the most money they can make, you're probably not going to get level 10 talent, right? The person that leaves one coffee shop and now is the CEO of Starbucks, that needs to be a level 10 opportunity with a level 10 pay. Otherwise, we're not going to attract great talent to our business. And something one of my mentors told me last year that really stuck with me is the best person on your team doesn't even exist yet, right? The little shy white belt or yellow belt at your program, they might be a great instructor one day. So again, that's why those interactions need to be positive, and we need to show them what is possible inside of our business. And then finally here, when it comes to team members, remember that a great team member is not 2 times as good as a normal team member. They're really 3, 4, 5x as valuable because they can do so much more than an average team member. So when you have someone on your team that is going out of their way and doing a great job to grow your business, to grow your program, make sure that you reward them and thank them for doing that. Number 8, things compound over time, right? We often want 100% growth in 90 days. How do I double my business in the next month? It's very unlikely that's going to happen. Right? But if you think about it, if you grow 10% per quarter, that's 40% growth over a decade. So let's say, for example, last year, 2022, you did $100,000 a year in gross sales. Well, if you can just grow by 10%, very small amount, 10% per quarter, you're going to be doing $4 million within 10 years. Right? So you're doing, that's well over $1 million net if you're an owner operator. Right? So we just need small incremental growth over time. We don't need home runs. We don't need to double our business in 30 days or 90 days. We just need consistent growth over time. I've oftentimes seen schools that grow really quickly end up breaking their business because they just weren't prepared for that type of growth. I would say shoot for 10% growth, right? But what does that mean? How do you get 10% more members? So if last month you signed 10, how do we get 11 members this month, right? Retail sales. If you sold $1,000 worth of retail last month, how do you sell $1,100 this month, right? 10% or better attrition. How do we drop our attrition so we're losing less people, right? If you had 20 kids come to Parents Night Out, how do we get 22 kids to come to Parents Night Out? You just need those small incremental growths, and then over time, that'll make a massive impact in your business. And if you think of outside investments like the stock market, 10% is considered good. That's considered a great return. But in business, 10% in our mind tends to not be good enough, right? We need to think long term for our business. All right, number 9, don't bet the farm. All right, anything multiplied by 0 is 0. School owners will rush to open their second and third locations. Oftentimes, you can make more money with one location versus 2. Right, if we expand too early, not only can we potentially lose the money, our investment, but you also could put your existing business in a hard position, and you might lose money there as well. Maximize the profit in your current business before you ever consider opening a new program, a new location, anything like that. All right, and then one of the questions I ask when a school owner says, hey, I'm thinking about opening a second location, my first question is, are all of your classes full? And even if they are full, if you had to fit 3 to 4 or 5 more kids in the same classes, how could you do it? Like, how would you do that? Right? Same thing for events and camps, after school programs. We want to open the second, third locations really to boost our ego. And we think it's going to make us more money, but it might not happen. Right? So how can we make sure that every class is full before we move on to new adventures? All right, number 10, give the people what they want or need. So open example here, we primarily focus on after school and summer camp programs as our profit generators. We do teach traditional martial arts, but we know that we charge a lot more money for our after school and our summer camp programs, and we make a lot of money from those programs. And the reason we do that is because in our area, this is a need. This is something that our community wants and is paying for. And your area may be completely different, and you may have no desire to offer those types of programs. And I'll give you an example. Our path, originally we were a sport taekwondo school. We transitioned to a traditional taekwondo school, and then we now offer taekwondo after school and summer camp programs. It is okay to change your offerings in your business, right? If you look at the Fortune 500 companies, 90% of them offer a different primary service within a 10-year window. Again, going back to Amazon, originally it was a bookstore. but they saw other opportunities to expand into larger markets. And now we have Amazon, right? The megalith that it is. And then PayPal was originally an online bank. They saw the need that people wanted to securely transfer money online, and they created PayPal, right? Now they own Venmo, right? Things have changed. In my opinion, what we look at for our businesses, we think martial arts schools are a character development center, and we just use martial arts as the medium to achieve that. That's our focus, is the character development more than the martial arts, right? Give the people what they want, and I think you're going to be rewarded for it. All right, bonus lesson here. Leadership is the problem and leadership is the solution. 7 and 8s cannot lead 9s and 10s. Are you actively becoming a better leader? Right? Are you reading and podcasting, videoing, journaling daily? Because if you're not and your competitor is, you're going to lose to that person because they're getting smarter and they're getting faster. All right, I believe that leadership is a skill. Some people naturally have it, but I think everyone can learn it. It can and must be developed over time. And I believe that strong leaders create more leaders. We don't just create jobs for people to sign in students and teach classes. I think that leaders create other leaders. And you know yourself. Gut check time. Would you follow yourself? And the answer should be a hell yes or a no. There's no in between there. If you saw yourself when this person, if you imagine when you're 18 years old and you saw who you are now, would you follow that person? It's either a hell yes or a no. And if we're not in alignment, that's a good opportunity for us to get into alignment. All right, closing, kind of a quick recap here. The basics of a successful school, in my opinion, we need to keep it simple and just copy what works. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We just need to make sure the wheel is working and working smoothly. All right, I think you should market like your life depends on it, because honestly, it does as a business. I think we should have a high give a shit factor. Actually care about everything. Care about your team, your students, your business. What does it look like, smell like, feel like? What's the experience people are getting in your program? And then ultimately, if our business isn't growing, that means we aren't growing. Every new level of business, the game of business, will take a new level of leadership from us. Just like a video game, every level gets a little bit harder. Business is no different. We just need to level up and become better leaders. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have any questions, comment below. Happy to help. Thanks for watching.